Going to do a wee bit of rendering on this wall behind me here. Actually down on the base all the way along. And thought, sure, may as well give you the ingredients to it, the ratios of what I render, and we'll get into quite a lot of details, as I'm going to try and keep this also as simple as possible. So packed with details, but as simple and easy to follow as possible. And I'm going to go into some do's and don'ts. How to mix satin cement render. I want to go through the methods first, and obviously you're looking to make a mix similar to what I've got here, and that's one way to make it is with a drum mixer, and that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to focus on the drum mixer. Of course you can use the same ratios that I'm going to show you, and just a shovel on a board and plenty of hard work. Method 3, you can mix a small amount with a mixing drill like so, the paddle mixer, and I don't recommend doing this for anything too large as it most likely will burn your drill out, so only for small amounts. And method number 4, if you're looking small amounts, you can mix them in a bucket with a bucket trowel. Again, all the same ratios, and also these other videos are on the channel if you want to check them out too. So just before we get to all the ratios, I want to run through all the materials and all the tools that we're actually going to need to get the mix done. Obviously we're using a drum mixer, so a drum mixer, some power to power it, and buckets for water and sand, and buckets for cement. You're going to need satin cement, of course, plastering sand, possibly a wheelbarrow or a tub or more buckets to fill your cement, shovels to load your sand into the buckets, measure them out, and also a scoop or something to load up your cement into your hut. I always start with loading up my sand first, but before we get into that, let me just talk about sand because it is very important. Sand is very important, and picking the right one for rendering is extremely important. You always want to pick plastering sand. So I have two different types of sands in my hand here, a reddish one and a yellow coloured one, and I want you to drop a comment which one is plastering sand and which one is building sand. And it's very important, guys, that we always use plastering sand, and I'll try and do a demonstration now to show the differences and explain a wee bit more in that and why. So to most people, they think plastering sand's a fine sand and it has to be fine because it's for plastering, but in actual reality that's the opposite, guys. Plastering sand is finely graded, but it is a sharp sand, and what that means is it's actually grittier than you'd think, and the reason for that is that's what gives it its strength, whereas building sand is a bit more like clay, and that's what helps give it its stickiness, and obviously it's going to be better to build with than gritty sand. So hopefully this little test is showing you the difference. Now the building sand, if anybody guessed it, it's the red one on the left there, and you can see it's actually quite gritty for building sand, but you can see the plastering sand is much more gritty, and the wee spray bottle is showing that off quite well, and you can see quite big grits in it. Building sand's gritty for building sand in this occasion, but it's still a lot finer than the plastering sand. So I hope that I've got something right with these guys, because it seems to be a big myth that most people think plastering sand needs to be fine and smooth, and that's how we get it smooth. That's all wrong, guys. That's how you go wrong. So that's a definitely don't use building sand for plastering. Use plastering sand. Plastering sand will stick to the wall better than the building. The building sand will prefer to stick to itself, will slump and slide when you come to straighten it. The three main ingredients to mixing satin cement for rendering is plastering sand, cement and water. Now there's also things you put in your water to improve the adhesive of the plaster and the workability and the waterproof ability, and I'm going to cover those. I always add my water first to the mixer, and not just water, but there is ingredients in here, and basically you can use lots of addy mixes, guys. This is winter, so it's a bit cold, so I'm going to use some frostproofer. I'm going to put 4 capfuls in, and I'm going to put 1 capful of waterproofer in, and basically that's the capful. I already have them in, but just fill the capfuls in, dump them in the water. You can use mortar mix, but my waterproofer, this pink stuff here, that's as good. You don't need to have, I've found over the years, you don't actually need to add any more mortar mix. That sort of does the whole trick. Again, it's winter as well, so I want to cut down on that as much as possible. And like I always say, is I keep it in the water so that, say this bucket doesn't do the whole mix and I need more water added to make it a bit softer, so say you're doing scratch coating. Basically I fill the water back up and I add the exact same ingredients again, and I only use what I need to mix, and then I'll throw the rest in, and this just keeps your water, the ratios of all your addy mixes all the exact same. So if there is a half bucket of water left at the end of the job, just use it to wash out the mixer, and it's not a big deal then. I always put my water in first with the addy mixes that I've went for, and about half the bucket I go for when I'm doing a full mix, and then we're going 4 to 1. This is top coat rendering, and you can see I've got all my buckets filled with sand, and I always put 2 in. So I get the 2 sand in, and then I'll usually put a cement in sort of halfway through, and let it sort of turn, guys, a wee bit as well. The key about mixing sand cement render is just taking your time, not adding too much water, as if you do add too much water you're going to end up with a big sloppy mess basically. You can see, you know, that would be a nice texture for scratch coating, maybe a wee bit tighter. And like I say, I'm going to put my sand in now. Dust masks, goggles and gloves would be good safety protection, guys, and do recommend that big time. Outside's not as bad, you can see how quickly the dust sort of settles, but see how dry it's became now that I've added the sand, the cement. Added the cement, it fairly dries it up, it soaks up the moisture, and you can see it's binding well. But all you have to do, guys, and again, can't stress this enough, when you just add little bits, even if you have to get a cup, bring a glass or cup out with you, or cut an old bottle up and just pour wee bits of water in at a time, because you'll see I literally only put like half a cup full of water in there, and it's, you can see it's fairly wetted it up. Again, if your sand is wet, you're going to really have to take this into consideration of reducing how much water you put in per mix. So halfway done here, just have to add 2 more sand, and that's all the ingredients in that we need. You can see just giving the time to turn really is key, guys. Even if you get everything in, just giving the time to turn. The natural thing is, when you see it and you think it's too tight, is to keep adding water and keep adding water. But believe me, this mixer, the more it mixes, the wetter it will become as well. So really try and keep that in mind, because it will break up the mix and make it nice and creamy. You don't have to keep bunging loads and loads of water in. You can see I haven't filled this water up again. This is just 1 bucket of water, and it should do this whole mix. We're already at the stage, you know, pretty happy with the way things are going here. There's nothing sticking around the sides or the back, so it should come in a pretty nice mix. 1 more sand to go, and that's the whole mix done, guys. That's, you know, hopefully I've kept this as simple as possible. Again, treat the mixer as it is. It can be very dangerous, guys, as well, so keep your hands, you know, no big strings hanging down. You know, respect the machine, because it will take your arm off and not care too bit at all. But yeah, wee taste of water, guys, is all we need to keep wetting it up. You don't need to be throwing buckets in. As you can see that you know, even the wee drip I've put in, it'll fairly loosen it up. And again, it all depends what you're doing, how wet or how tight you want your mix. I have showed how to mix floor screed, which is the semi-dry mix. This is for a wee bit of detail work on a bit of a base. So I do want it stiff, I don't want it too sloppy. I want it, you know, want to be able to put it on and get it finished as quick as possible. And a wee bit stiffer will help in this colder weather to lose the moisture out of it. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'll show you how to wash out the mixer here at the end as well, so keep an eye open for that there. If you are wanting to test it, make sure and turn it off first, guys. Don't be trying to be a hero, sticking your hand in while the machine's going. And this is perfect for me. Again, if you wanted to scrape the sides, if you were having problems with some stuff sticking, scrape it all, turn it off, unplug, scrape it all, then get it turned back on and let it mix. The other way you can sort of, if you are getting dry lumps at the back, how you can kind of fix that is, see if you just hold the handles up slightly at the back of the mixer, don't pour it out, but just hold it up, you know, just that tiny wee bit. It almost puts the mixer into a quicker gear because the fins will hit it better and the back will fall to the forward more, and it just mixes much faster. And just zoom in, guys, this is perfect rendering for what I need. All I have left to do now is tip it out and push it on the wall. Again, you can see you may want to go a bit wetter than this. Just all depends what you're doing. This is perfect for the likes of doing sand cement reveals, coin stones, bands, sticking beads on, you know, anything that you kind of want to be heavy, filling out tracks. This stiffness is perfect for that. And again, you know, this is the exact same way for scratch coat. Just reduce a bucket of sand and you'll have 3 to 1. If you want 5 to 1, just add a bucket of sand, you've got 5 to 1. It's all really pretty much the exact same. Again, your Addy mixes are going to make a big difference to what you pick. So, as promised, guys, how to wash out the mixer. So you're going to want some clean water. If you did have some water left over, as long as it doesn't have the extra SBR in, it'd be good enough to use to wash the mixer. And you're going to want to fill a bucket up, get the machine on, throw the water in, and then to get it really clean, a couple of shovels of stones, guys, and that's the noise, that's the sound of music that will clean your mixer out until it's pretty clean. There won't be any mortar or render left on it.